Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Welcome to our webinar. Let me go ahead and share my screen here, and we will get going. Whoops, wrong one. Hang on here. All right, now you should all see my screen. And welcome to our joint webinar with Bricsys and SmartDraft. I'm Julie Kavarian, Technical Manager for North America Bricsys, and I'll be one of the hosts for today's session, which is called Revolutionize Your Civil Survey Workflow with BricsCAD V25 and SmartDraft Survey Tools. Joining me today will be Rex Cooper, President and CTO of SmartDraft. So Rex, thank you for joining us today.
You're welcome.
All right. With that, I'm going to turn my camera off so we can focus on the presentation and we'll get underway. Thank you all for joining. Our agenda today is going to start with a very short introduction to Bricsys and SmartDraft. And then we're going to dive right into some of the new and improved features in the Civil Survey toolset for BricsCAD Pro version 25. Now this focuses on data collection, drafting and delivery of drafting tools for surveyors, and delivery of realistic and accurate tin surface output. At that point, then I'm going to be turning it over to Rex, who's going to introduce and show us some of the SmartDraft suite of solutions tools. Now, we also do have a special guest today who's going to provide some insight into why he switched over to BricsCAD and SmartDraft. And then we'll finish up with some reviews and information on pricing and next steps. So let's dive in and get started. Who is Bricsys? What is BricsCAD? Well, Bricsys is our company name and BricsCAD is our product. Now, we've been making professional design and engineering software for over 20 years, and we have a global customer base spread across Europe, Asia, Americas. And Bricsys is part of a larger company, Hexagon AB. Hexagon is a very large publicly traded hardware and software technology group, and they're based in Stockholm, Sweden. Now, BricsCAD is a powerful CAD platform with innovative features and a familiar interface. What's important to understand is it's a single platform for both 2D and 3D based on the native DWG file format, so it's considered an alternative to AutoCAD. And because of that, if you have existing customizations, you can migrate them over to BricsCAD quite easily. This could include autolist routines, templates, styles, blocks, and more. Now, what makes us different? Well, we still believe that the DWG platform is an extensible platform. And what I mean by that is that we're still developing new tools on the DWG platform. Now, also what's a little bit different about us is our licensing structure is flexible because we still offer network, perpetual, single license, and subscription license options. So you can pick and choose what licensing meets your needs. Oh, and of course, we are very cost effective. There are 5 different editions in BricsCAD. First is Lite. This is your 2D CAD. Then we have Pro, which includes everything in Lite, but adds all the 3D functionality. And that also adds the Civil Survey toolset. We also have BricsCAD BIM, which is CAD software with some BIM capabilities, and BricsCAD Mechanical, which is 2D and 3D CAD for mechanical design and drafting. Now, all of this, remember, is based on DWG. And if you want all of these tools, that's what we call BricsCAD Ultimate. Now, today's program is based on the Civil Survey toolset, which is in BricsCAD Pro, and of course, SmartDraft on top of that. So, who uses BricsCAD? Well, these are just a few of our customers and their thoughts on using BricsCAD. As you can see, these are large companies and small companies in a variety of industries. Who uses SmartDraft and what is SmartDraft? Well, they were founded in 1989, and it's a productivity toolkit that optimizes your BricsCAD Pro license. It caters to civil engineers, surveyors, and design professionals, and it's flexible and customizable. And here's just a list of the SmartDraft product portfolio. Who uses SmartDraft? Well, again, this is a wide range. It could be single-person shops as well as large organizations with multiple offices. And today we're very excited to welcome Brad Donay from Heptagon 7. He will be sharing his thoughts on working with SmartDraft and BricsCAD, again, with Rex in the second half of the presentation. But Brad, did you want to introduce yourself?
Sure. Thank you, Julie. My name is, as she mentioned, my name is Brad Donay. My company name is Heptagon 7 Consulting. Been in business as a sole proprietor for the last 11 years. Small engineering firm and construction management located in Mesa, Arizona, with primary work in Arizona and California on the deserts. I have 30 years of civil engineering experience with projects in both private sector as well as public works. I've been a user of smart drafting for over 15 years and BricsCAD for the last 3 years. My reasonings for switching from AutoCAD to BricsCAD were twofold. One, being a small shop, trying to keep expenses down. I found BricsCAD to be a very equal alternative to AutoCAD. And it was, I actually found it to be a more stable platform the longer I've used, with fewer crashes and so forth. As far as SmartDraft, as I mentioned, I've been using it over 15 years. Prior to starting Heptagon, I worked for a large, they were a Southwest company and then got bought out by a larger company, so they're international. But I was using SmartDraft there, ended up leaving, didn't have SmartDraft when I started on my own, and realized all the shortcuts and key encodes that I was using were SmartDraft driven, and my productivity plummeted because of that, because I'd been using it for almost 9 years at that point. So quickly got back with Rex and got smart drafting back into my computer programming repertoire. So that's all I have.
Oh, that's wonderful. Thank you so much and welcome.
Thank you.
So today's presentation is based around BricsCAD version 25. And if you were not aware, we just launched version 25 on October 23rd. So a little bit about V25 is it's where smart meets easy, because we build BricsCAD to be smart and easy to learn and easy to use. Now, because today's focus is on the survey tools in BricsCAD Pro, I don't have time to go through all the new features in BricsCAD, but I encourage you to take a look at our website and YouTube channels. And what I'm showing you here on screen is just a little peek at our new in BricsCAD V25 highlights webpage. So as you can see, there's quite a bit new and improved, even experimental features. So I encourage you to take a look at what's new on our webpage as well. Also available, excuse me, also available, we have in-depth breakout sessions from our keynote. I'm showing here Light Pro and Civil Survey. These are longer presentations that go into detail about a particular workflow or new feature. And again, you can watch these on our website as well as YouTube. As well, you can watch the entire launch presentation if you didn't catch that when we did it live. And now let's move on to BricsCAD Pro Civil Survey Toolset. So in V25, we really focused on surveyors, and in particular, surveyors using Leica equipment. And while that's our focus, many of these tools are still going to be extremely useful to civil engineers. Now, as far as data, it doesn't matter whether it's traditional survey data or scan data in point clouds, because surveyors, you still need to get the data from the field into CAD in order to create drawings and deliverables efficiently and accurately. So, first of all, some of our data collection is really focused around Leica equipment. Now, why Leica? Well, again, if you didn't know, Bricsys and Leica are both in that hexagon AB umbrella of companies. So we've got a little bit of synergy there. When we did speak with these customers, they told us that they love the Leica hardware, but they're often frustrated because they can't take advantage of all the hardware features because of limitations in their CAD software. We've created a new command, Leica Convert, that addresses this problem. So let's take a look at that. Really, this gives us a one-click import of points, surfaces, and string objects, along with all the extended information data that's collected in the field. And we've worked with Leica to expand this collection to delivery workflow to bring these benefits to our BricsCAD users. So you can create BricsCAD templates, including layer definitions, line styles, 2D blocks, 3D blocks, and then use these directly in Leica Infinity. Here within Leica Infinity, these templates will map to code tables so that the data is captured and cleaned up using the styles that you need down the road for your CAD deliverables. So you can adhere to client-specific CAD standards by creating templates once and using them over and over. Now, if this is new to you, don't worry, because one of those breakout sessions I'd mentioned covers this exact task. Once the survey job is complete and any adjustments for corrections have been made within Leica Infinity, then it's a one-click export to create an enhanced DWG that can be opened just as you normally would open right in BricsCAD. Then from within BricsCAD, hit the Convert Leica DWG button to convert these entities into civil objects, including points, strings, and tin surfaces. It's that simple. Now, all these entities have extended object data with important information. And for example, clicking on a civil point brings up the civil point editor, where you can see user attributes such as code, code description, name, and more. These extended user attributes can be used to create point groups quickly and easily, which make the survey job easier to work with. Tin surfaces can be created in either Leica Infinity or in BricsCAD. The choice is yours. But what is important to understand is that you're not recreating this work. Create it once, use it many times. And if line work was created, you'll see it in your data collector in Leica Infinity, and now also in BricsCAD as our new string civil object. Again, no rework. This data is editable through the string editor with elevations, horizontal geometry, and statistics, and all geometry is maintained, including 3D arcs. So BricsCAD version 25 enables surveyors using Leica equipment to streamline that field collection to CAD deliverable workflow and delivering according to your client CAD standards with less manual set work, less rework, and that means fewer opportunities for errors to creep in. Now, we've already mentioned the new string object. What else is new in BricsCAD V25? Well, we've added a curve calculator and line and curve labels. And we've updated the transparent commands. Now they are persistent. Plus, we've added two new options, one for deflection and distance and one for angle and distance. Let's take a look at some of these highlights. Now, as many of you know, surveyors get paid for some very specific deliverables, and we've greatly improved the tools and workflows that they use most often by making them smarter, easier, and faster. Strings were imported from our survey job, and these can be edited as needed. Now, if we add a new PI, you'll see that we can perform easy graphical editing. And double-clicking on a string also brings up the editor panel, just as it did with a point. And we can see that the new PI added right within our panel. Now, about those transparent commands, as I said, they're persistent. And we've added some new types. So the deflection and distance and angle and distance, so you can enter survey-specific data directly into typical CAD commands, making your drafting easier and more the way that you expect it to work. Now, the curve calculator allows curves to be defined using whatever data you have. You can easily snap to an existing string or point to start your curve and graphically pick the direction you want. You don't have to figure out if it's left or right, clockwise or counterclockwise. You can also graphically pick an existing curve in the drawing and use that to populate the calculator fields. No mess, no fuss. The curve calculation makes it quicker and easier to drop curves with no need to copy and paste into the command line, and that means fewer clicks. Now, survey CAD deliverables usually follow very specific CAD standards, and labels for lines and curves are no exception. Line and curve labels can be quickly created using defined user styles. Then simply select the civil objects you want to label, and they'll be labeled. And these are smart labels. Moving a label from, say, a line segment to a curved segment will change the label style. One less thing for you to worry about. And these labels are also plan readable and viewport scale dependent, ensuring you get to your CAD deliverables more quickly. We've also continued to build on the existing fast and intuitive tin surface engine, and in V25, we've added a few more options. One for surface smoothing to improve the display of contours so they look more like they do in the real world, and two, the ability to dynamically share surface data between drawings. Now, this has been a very common request, and now that's available in V25. Now, because of the nature of tin surfaces, contours may appear sharp and jagged, but that's not how they are in the real world. So in V25, we've made some changes, and it's now possible to smooth surfaces, which will update and smooth the display of contours by using natural neighbor interpolation. So you can select the entire tin surface or select a portion of it and add points to a surface by inputting it into this dialog. These added points will smooth the surface and give a better representation of what it's like in the real world. As always, you're in total control of your data with the new smoothing operation that you see here in the Civil Explorer. So you can switch it on and off as needed. You can edit the smoothed area, you can change the grid spacing, or simply delete it. And it's important to note that we're actually adjusting the tin surface, which means that civil objects placed on the surface will be updated to reflect that. Again, one less thing for you to worry about. Now, as surfaces are at the heart of many civil projects, BricsCAD makes it easier to share surface data with collaborators. With the Attach Civil Objects tool, you can create a smart data reference that allows you to choose which surface you want to either embed or link into another drawing. These attached tin surfaces are read-only objects that link back to the original source object. And again, they're going to show up in the Civil Explorer. And because it's a read-only link, you don't have to worry that somebody else is going to change the original surface. This gives you functionality and flexibility and peace of mind. Also, to further streamline your workflow and make sure you have a single source of truth for your project, BricsCAD V25 will notify and update users of changes to the source surface. So the surface sharing allows you to use surfaces in the way you need without the worry of accidental changes. So in summary, we've worked to make sure that BricsCAD delivers practical tools that provide interoperability and productivity to surveyors. We've done this with fast and easy access to survey data from Leica instruments. This is very powerful, and this is unique to BricsCAD. We've also added drafting and labeling tools with the surveyor in mind that not only save you clicks, but are also intuitive and fit how you work. And we've improved on our already wonderful tin surface engine by adding options for surface smoothing and the ability to dynamically share surface data between drawings. Now, again, these are just some of the highlights of the new and improved tools in BricsCAD V25, specifically the civil survey workflow. And I encourage you to take a look at our website and another YouTube channel to see more. But now I'm very happy to turn the presentation over to Rex and Brad with SmartDraft.
Thank you, Julie. So
Thank you.
as mentioned, my name is Rex Cooper. I'm the CTO and president of SmartDraft. Today, we're going to do a demo of the SmartDraft survey and P-Connect tools and demo about 18 of the 300 tools that are in the survey and P-Connect set of productivity tools that really help you and BricsCAD 2025 shine. And we have been working with BricsCAD, developing our product with them since V14. So this is our 11th release with them. So we're very happy to be able to share this time with you. So I would like to start off with, as Julie was saying, now you have, if you're using Leica, there's a bunch of tools that will allow you to work very closely with BricsCAD 25. But if you're not using Leica, we have a tool that really helps you take field data. So here we have about 650 points collected by a surveyor with a bunch of different items, like a building that's over here in the southwest corner. This is actually for an Alta survey. We have some hardscape, we have some trees and different plants. We have a bunch of parking stalls. There's a street to the north, a street to the south, and a street to the west as well. And the tool we're going to show you is P-Connect. P-Connect is a tool to connect all those field data with your defined description keys, going and placing those strings. Well, in this case, they're still polylines because we haven't been able to use the strings yet, but we will as soon as they're available to APIs, that is. But putting those on a layer, and we allow them to be drawn both as 2D planimetric information for just regular drafting, or 3D data so that you can actually bring them in as break lines to better define a surface. And again, these are all your definitions that you would be defining and being used in your by the surveyors. So it's not what we define, it's what you define. And if it has this $sign, it means that it can have a string that is like a top of curb, TC1, TC2, TC3, and you can keep doing like cross sections and have multiple TCs, and they don't get mixed up with each other. And then until you terminate it, it just continues to believe it's the same thing. And you could do cross-section method, and you don't have to walk down a street and walk back up a street. You can mix and match as you go down and do a street, even if it has islands and whatnot. We have up to 20 different draw codes. I'm not going to show them all. I'm just going to show a couple in this example, but things for creating 3-point curves, best fit curves, tangent curves, circles, squares, closing a figure, turning a 90-degree angle, and so on and so forth. Quite a bit. 20 different 20 different suffix codes for drawing. And that's exactly what the surveyor is entering in their description when they're out in the field. They're typing TC1, and then if they want to terminate TC1, they just say TC1 dot period. I mean dot T, period T. And just for speed, I'm going to process all of the description keys. You can just do a few if you need to, or all. If, say, one line got busted on the buildings, you could delete all the building layers, which I'm going to show you, and just rerun them because of a bust in something that was entered, like a wrong direction or something like that in the field. We process, and just that quick, it processed 650 different points, and you can see that it added the layers, put the things on the layers that it needed. If we came in here, we would see here's stripe 1, terminate. So it started, it always goes ascending order. Stripe 1, terminated. Stripe 2, terminated. And because you terminate it, you can see I can use STP1 for that stripe all over again. This happens to be just a 2D planimetric. I'm not going to do surfaces because we just don't have the time for that. But another just really quick tool that we have in here, these are BricsCAD V25 points. But we have this command, point zoom. So this is one thing that Brad would have been mentioning. So I just type in PTZ for zoom to a point, type in a point number, type in what my zoom factor will be, and it just zooms right into an area. And the reason I'm going to zoom into this area is just to show you, I'm going to come and turn these points off, that it created nice smooth arcs, around these parking islands. You can see the parking stalls. Here's a cross gutter, curb and gutter, and then here's that building that I mentioned. But I can see that, oh, there must be something wrong because this building shouldn't be going out into this driveway area. So I can say, let's turn those points back on. And I can see, oh, they said we're going to turn an angle, but they put a positive after TN for turn an angle, 5.3 units. And it should have been negative for left instead of positive for right. So we have this command. It makes it really easy, ED. And these are those shortcuts that we're talking about. I just pick this point, and I can come and edit that description. And now it's a negative, and here's where I just go over here into the point P-connect commands, erase just the building layer. So all the building layer has been deleted. Go back into P-connect, and then just this time pick building, because that's all I want to rerun, and process. And it's fixed that quick. It's an easy way to fix if there was just a small little error in a right or left when someone's entering in a code. Another tool that we just introduced starting this weekend as we released our product for V25 is P-block, which is much like P-connect, which allows you to define your description keys, how you would like to format the full description, what block you would like to insert, and then if it goes on a layer, what scale it's going to be, some various rotation abilities, and here's a scale ability where it's actually saying, hey, use the third option after a tree. First here, it's going to say, hey, there's first and second parameter within that description, and the third, in this particular case, is going to be the drip line. So we can run this real quick. Now it's going to go through those same 650 points just that quickly. I'll zoom into this corner, again, turn off the points so that you can better see. And here it didn't put in a fire hydrant symbol, a street light symbol, a power pole symbol for those. And here, if you notice, this guy wire symbol is rotated back towards the power pole symbol. And this power pole had an attribute, and through those codes, you were actually able to tell it, hey, put that value in the attribute value of that block that you're going to insert. And it's just you saying yes or no. Also, you can see that here it inserted 2 different trees, and it actually used some parameters. That third one, I'll turn the points back on so that you can see. Here it actually said, okay, this is a 6-inch elm tree, and this is an 8-inch oak tree. But if we use the ED command just to see what that description was, oh, it had a 6-foot drip line, so it put in a tree with a 6-foot drip line. And this one, it put in a tree with a 4-foot diameter drip line. So you can see how you can actually scale blocks by you defining the parameters that you would like to do. Last but not least, when it comes to points, well, actually, we're going to do a bunch of stuff with points, but in this particular file is if you've ever wanted to or needed to put a point description table within a drawing, you could go to the points, our points panel, and go down here, points coordinate table. And just like Julie mentioned, a lot of their commands, you have these styles that you can do. So you can create these various styles to include different information. It lists all the points that it found in the drawing. It gives you options if you want to draw blocks, or if you want to include the text for the title that's defined in the style. And if you want to draw lines around everything. So I'm just picking then what your coordinate and your elevation precisions are going to be in your table. And I pick a point, and it just asks you to specify a point. And then what's nice down here, you may have a physical limit in your drawing. You can either just say enter and I'll put everything, but maybe that's not enough. Here I'm picking my limit of how long my table is by actually picking a point. So I can specify multiple rows, and as I said, there's 650 points plus or minus in this particular drawing, so it'll be quite a few rows. And I'm being not as neat as I would if I was actually drafting this for submittal or something of that nature. But you can see where I can specify all that. And I have that point table. Brad, did you want to say something at this point?
Yeah, I was gonna, I did mention I'm civil engineering more based, not survey, but a similar feature that's in the SmartDraft with tables is line curve data, which will produce this similar type table. But if those that are doing horizontal control plans for your private work, or even data tables for roadways for like curb alignments and so forth, it'll give point number, the length, the radius, the tangent, and then a description line. So somewhat similar to these tables, but more in a plan production type format.
Thank you, Brad. Next quick tool that I would like to demonstrate is our closure report. So I'm going to open up this drawing here. And so we have 15 lots that have been defined in here. But if I was to go in here and look at creating a report of those lots, it would say, oh, you don't have anything defined in the SmartDraft parcels database. And it doesn't necessarily have to be a lot. It could be an easement. It could be a boundary. It could be an open space. It could be a parcel. It could be a right-of-way. But in this particular case, here's how easy it would be to convert these closed drawn areas. And they're just, lines and arcs and curves and things of that nature in this file. They're not actually closed polylines. There is a cool tool in SmartDraft where you can add sequential numbering to a file. So I'll start with 1, and I'm just going to place, I'm going to first come over here. Sorry about that. If you look at my notes, I want to create a lot number, and then I want to do this. So I just picked a command that you can define that says lot numbers go on this layer and they use this font. And I want to have the justification center. I can have it M-text if I prefer, if you prefer M-text, or you can just have it regular text, depending on which one you prefer. You go and find the style that you want to use. And I'm just being not very careful, but the same command, if I really wanted to be more careful, I could say, oh, I want it to be ortho, and I could pick a point, and now ortho is automatically turned on, and I don't really have to be as careful because I'm using that orthographic feature that's right built into CAD, and it's remembering the last point I picked for a lot. And if I zoom in here, you can see I've numbered 15 lots. Now what I'm going to do is quickly, using the same tools, because the line work is clean, at least I know that, I'm going to define these parcels. Down here it's going to say, look at my options of how I'm going to define them. They're lots. I'm going to select the name and create a polyline and let the number be what that lot number is. So it's, and if you wanted to use letters instead of, or just say lot 1, lot 2, or parcel 1, you could do that instead of just numbering 1 through whatever, like I said. And I don't even have to be real careful on how I select. I just have to only make sure that I select those numbers, because as you can tell, it filters out anything that is not text. So what it's doing right there was anything that it can see in the screen is doing ray tracing, trying to find the boundaries of that closed area, and then it actually is creating those parcels. Then we can come in here and see where before you had no data in here. That quickly I've created 15 SmartDraft parcels. I can select them all, and from those parcels I can do an area report, a closure report, an inverse, or a legal description at each one of those meets and bounds type. But we're just going to do a closure. You can have some header information that you type in, you know, your company name and what kind of report it is and the project number, or you can just turn those header information off and add that information later. We have 2 different formats. If you've ever used Land Desktop, that's the Autodesk format of what a closure report looks like. Then we have a SmartDraft one that we've kind of defined, and a lot of our clients like that. And then some different ways of doing the calculations around curves, depending on what your agency requires. Setting your precision values, your angular formats in your define, you know, either with the degree, minute, second symbols with just dashes or none, depending on how you prefer to have your bearing, your angular and bearings format. And if there are actual point numbers at each of these endpoints, you could click this and those would be included in the report. If you look at lot 1, it's actually calculating all those, and you can see it calculate those 15 lots pretty quickly. What it's doing, even though it's a closed polyline, it's taking each course, finding the starting point of that closed polyline per your decimal and angular precisions, and recalculating the next point, and then going to the next course, doing the same thing, doing the same thing, going and doing the same thing. So it really comes down, when you're at the very end, it does have a true error of closure, and then it calculates all of that out. So this is a true area of closure that could be submitted to one of your local agencies when you're submitting your plot plans, lot, subdivisions, or things of that nature. So you actually have that ability to create true area of closure reports. And this can then be printed out, saved to a file, and then you could add additional things to it and then go from there. Just looking at my time real quick. I was going to show you, we do actually have one other tool that I'll just mention in passing, is legal description from a polyline, where you could select a closed polyline or open polyline, and it will allow you to create a meets and bounds report. And you actually can define the order of where things go and put in your preamble and closing, and then it gives you a bunch of information. So it does actually have a legal description writer, and then you can define what style you want. And if you were to go down here, you would see we actually have the legal description writer, where you can specify where everything goes so that your legal descriptions are ready. Now, the last two tools I want to show you is, we actually do support everything that BricsCAD has open to us. So we fully understand surfaces, their alignments, their 3D, their profiles, and we actually can read their points and label their alignments. As you can see here, we've labeled every 100 units and then a ticket every 50 units. But one of the other things that we can do is we actually have a very useful command for listing survey data. LSD is the shortcut, and you would just pick, be it an alignment, be it a polyline, be it in an XREF or not, you pick an object, and it actually gives you the survey data right at the command prompt. Unlike if you were to like list a polyline, it just gives you all the endpoints. And here's even an alignment, and it's just giving me the segment of that alignment that I'm selecting. So you're getting that information that a surveyor or an engineer wants, not the information that CAD typically gives us back. And I'm just having to select it. And again, it's not even, doesn't even have to be in the drawing. It is just, it could be through an XREF itself. It doesn't have to be live data just in this current drawing. So here's last, but two different examples of labeling points. So some of our engineers and surveyors may have points like this where they have a top of curve and flow line, and they'll want to put just a single label. So one of our tools is label point. You'll go into the options and say, oh, I want to grab 2 points, the elevation of point 1, which is going to be my TC, and I'm going to do a space because I want a space, and I want a FL and then a space. And you can do adjustments if you so need to, but then I can come in here and pick that TC and pick that flow line, and now I have a dynamic label that is actually linked back to those points. And if those point elevations change for whatever reason, they shouldn't. If they're field data, but they're linked to those points. So now you actually have a label linked to those points, and it knows that it's linked to those points. Like that, I can add new points to the drawing. So I'm going to make sure that I have the right, wow, okay. I want to get my elevation from the surface, but I could get it from an alignment and profile. I could get it from a 3D polyline. I could get it from a surface, and that's what I'm going to do in this particular case. And I'm actually going to say that this is an existing ground point. And I'm placing this point just manually. And I couldn't find my style, so I don't know why I couldn't find my style. But as you can see, I have 2 points, and I have elevations on those 2 points. And if I move this point, you'll see that that elevation changes because it's linked to the actual surface. So if I was, again, to go back to that label and change the options to just a single point and this descriptor, full descriptor, and pick this point and pick this point, you see I'm labeling those existing ground, and I'm just showing you this so that you see that if I move this point, that elevation also, that label moves with it and also updates. So I'm just showing you just the linking that we have with these objects. We have our labels, and then which are, if you were to send any of these DWGs to an outside entity, they're just regular dynamic blocks. So they're not special objects that you have to have an object enabler to see or manipulate. They are just plain regular DWG blocks that are brought into the drawing that have a bunch of dynamic features so that you can manipulate them and make them look well. Anything else you want to say on that, Brad?
Yeah, so at least from a design, you're showing from a survey perspective, from a design perspective, you can take any of those surfaces, if you're trying to pull off like a top of curb elevation that you don't have an exact shot on, but you've got a good surface built, you'd be able to at least pull fairly closely what that elevation is, at least for some preliminary design purposes. So I use that tool fairly often when I'm doing grading plans or even roadway plans to try to pick out, if I didn't get an exact survey shot, to get a interpolation between a couple points where an endpoint might be. So from a design perspective.
Excellent. And like I said, I just in that short period of time, I got to show 18 of our little commands of 300 that are in the survey module. And we have other ones that are like Brad just mentioned, where you can interpolate a distance or pick a point and say, oh, I got to go up 1 foot slope and I got to pick a point over here just somewhere. Maybe I'm doing some subgrades or subdrains, and I want to do a 1% subdrain. What's the elevation going to be over there or over there? You start doing a bunch of what ifs, and it can do those calculations and place a label and or a point depending on what you want it to place. Julie, that's about all that I have for today. I'm passing it back off to you.
Actually, thank you, Rex. That was very interesting. I think, though, I'm going to pass it over to Gary.
Right. Thanks, Julie. I am going to share my screen here real quick as well and just kind of finish up everything with a little bit of a commercial here. So thank you, Rex. Thank you, Brad. Thank you, Julie, for going through the product. That was excellent information. I wanted to let everybody know on this call that we currently have a promotion going on BricsCAD new licenses, 20% off for new and existing customers. It's on new license, new seats. We do offer network volume and standalone licensing. We offer perpetual and subscription licensing. So we give you a variety of flexibility as far as the type of licensing that you may be looking for. So if you're interested in that, contact your local reseller, contact us. I'm going to throw some contact information here up on the screen as well. BricsCAD or SmartDraft. You've got the URLs to get to both of our sites there. My information or my email address is there in the middle above the thank you. So Gary Regal, if you've got any specific questions, feel free to send them to me, and then I can make sure we get them to the right person. We do offer a free 30-day trial, and if you scan that QR code in the middle, it will go to our download site. Then you could get a trial license of the product for 30 days and test it out. But I wanted to also say thank you again for all that attended. These are sessions that we hopefully will provide you more in the future as well, with very valuable information about our products. And again, thank you. The session was recorded, so we'll be posting that as well. So thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.